that make the cost of home ownership go up?
You know, I think that all of these questions and all of these inputs to housing costs.
What about first about illegal immigration? Does that increase demand for housing and make the cost of home ownership go up?
I think that's a distributional question. I think the question we're here to talk about today
but does it make the cost of home ownership go up?
We're here to talk about housing supply today.
We're here to talk about home ownership and the cost of owning a home. You're a bright man. Does that make the cost of home ownership go up when you increase demand that much?
I think that's a distributional question.
You don't want to admit it, do you?
I think that's a distributional question, and the problem that we're facing
with
is
all due
housing
respect,
supply.
I think you're being disingenuous. Increase the cost of home ownership?
Senator, yes. We've tried to figure out what that impact is.
I mean, duh.
Yeah, but the federal government doesn't publish where they're distributing these individuals around the country, so we can't do the kinds of experiments that we normally do.
It causes home ownership to go up in some places.
But we can't figure out exactly what it is. We'd love to.
I'm not
we
here
need
to
the
play
data.
games. I'm here to try to get some answers.
But if you could get more data, that would be great.
I'm sorry?
If you could get the data released by the federal government as to where.
I'll give you some data.
Welcome back, patriots, to Right View Nation, the one place where truth isn't optional and political correctness gets left at the door. I'm your host, and today, man, you better buckle up. We've got a story that every American needs to hear, especially if you're struggling to buy a home, pay your bills, or just wondering why life in this great country seems to be getting harder by the day. So, let's talk about what just went down in Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks very much. Senator Kennedy, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Senator Warner, I appreciate your comments. I've been very, very perceptive. Thank you. Let me say first, Mr. Speaker, I've served with a lot of speakers of the House back in Louisiana. God bless you. You know, you've got an automatic place in heaven.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have your job for all the money in the world.
I can say the same about yours, Senator.
Well, no, you've got to herd all these free-range chickens that wander off and go catch them, and sometimes you can catch some and sometimes you can't.
It's very true.
Thank you for your service. Mr. Williams, if the price of electricity goes up, does that make a house more expensive?
Not in a direct sense, but I mean, electricity is an input to a lot of things, both on the construction side.
It makes home ownership more expensive.
Sure, yes. And
all right, if property taxes go up, does that make home ownership more expensive?
Sure does.
If homeowners insurance goes up, does that make home ownership more expensive?
Indeed.
If interest rates, particularly mortgage rates, go up, does that increase the cost of home ownership?
It does.
A lot, right?
Depends on a lot of factors, but sure, it could.
When you own a home, you're going to have repairs. If the cost of home maintenance and repairs goes up, does that make home ownership more expensive?
Indeed.
Okay. If you, whether you agree with it or not, if you admit 10 to 12 foreign nationals illegal into your country, all of whom need housing, does that make the cost of home ownership go up?
You know, I think that all of these questions and all of these inputs to housing costs.
What about first about illegal immigration? Does that increase demand for housing and make the cost of home ownership go up?
I think that's a distributional question. I think the question we're here to talk about today
but does it make the cost of home ownership go up?
We're here to talk about housing supply today.
We're here to talk about home ownership and the cost of owning a home. You're a bright man. Does that make the cost of home ownership go up when you increase demand that much?
I think that's a distributional question.
You don't want
I
to,
think-
you don't want to admit it, do you?
I think that's a distributional question, and the problem that we're facing
With
is
all due
housing
respect, I think
supply.
you're being disingenuous. Let me ask you, Mr. Pinto, if you increase immigration by 11 million people, does that increase the cost of homeownership?
Senator, yes, we've tried to figure out what that impact is.
I mean, duh.
Yeah, but the federal government doesn't publish where they're distributing these individuals around the country, so we can't do the kinds of experiments that we normally do.
It causes homeownership to go up in some
Certainly,
places.
but we can't figure out exactly what it is. We'd love to.
I'm not
We
here
need
to
the
play
data.
games. I'm here to try to get some answers.
But if you could get more data, that would be great.
I'm sorry?
If you could get the data released by the federal government as to where.
I'll give you some data. Mortgage rates are up 123%. Premiums for homeowners are up 16%. The average electricity bill in America is up 28%. That affects the cost of home ownership. No wonder people can't buy a home. This dollar, thanks to President Biden and Vice President Harris's inflation, they've been inflation machines. This dollar was worth $1 when President Biden and Vice President Harris took office. It's worth 75 cents today. That's the fundamental problem with home ownership. The other problem is government regulation. Look, the HUD and the USDA recently adopted the International Energy Conservation Code. Do any of you know what that is? Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you because it's going to take time. They recently adopted the International Energy Conservation Code put out by the International Code Council. And the Biden-Harris administration just said, they just told HUD and the USDA to adopt it. So if you want a HUD or USDA loan or access to the housing assistance, you've got to build a home that complies with the International Energy Conservation Code. You know how much it's going to add to the price of a new home? $31,835. Are you kidding me? You know how much energy you're going to save?
Senator Kennedy, you're well into Senator Padilla's time now.
$657. We need to start with the basics, folks. It's inflation that's killing our people, and it's this crazy whack job regulation.
Senator Kennedy, you're well into Senator Padilla's time now.
I'm sorry, Senator.
That's all right.
Senator.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Kennedy, I would happily.
Senator John Kennedy, one of the few folks up there who still speaks plain American, absolutely torched the narrative the left wants you to believe. He was asking a very simple question, folks. Not complicated, not partisan, just common sense. If you allow 10 to 12 million illegal immigrants into the United States, does that increase the cost of owning a home? Now you would think that would be an easy yes for anyone with a working brain, right? But no. What he got in response from these bureaucrats was a masterclass in dodging accountability. These guys twisted themselves into knots just to avoid stating the obvious. One of them even called it a distributional issue. Translation: we know it's true, but we're too scared to admit it. And let me tell you something, folks. That right there is the rot in our system. It's not just about immigration. It's about a ruling class that refuses to tell the truth because they don't want to upset the narrative that keeps them in power. But Kennedy wasn't having it. He kept pressing. He kept hitting them with logic, with facts, with numbers, and they still wouldn't give him a straight answer. Here's the deal. Housing prices are through the roof. Mortgage rates have more than doubled. Home insurance is up 16%. Electricity? Up 28%. And now, Biden's regulators want to tack on another $31,000 to the cost of building a new home thanks to some globalist International Energy Code the federal government decided to adopt. That's not progress, folks. That's pure lunacy. Let me ask you something. Who do you think can afford an extra 30 grand on a starter home? It ain't the working class American. It's not the guy stocking shelves overnight. It's not the mom working 2 jobs to keep her kids fed. It's sure not the veterans or blue-collar workers trying to build a future. But it might be the illegal immigrants who get subsidized housing while American citizens are stuck renting, scraping, and drowning in debt. This isn't just about policy. It's about fairness. It's about sovereignty. It's about the American dream being stolen from the people who built this country. They tell us there's a housing crisis. Yeah, no kidding. It's a crisis because we're flooding our communities with millions of people who shouldn't even be here. And instead of securing the border, instead of focusing on our people, the Biden-Harris regime keeps printing money, tightening regulations, and shipping our tax dollars everywhere but home. It's time we stop asking for permission to speak the truth. Senator Kennedy is one of the last few fighters up there actually calling this out. He wasn't afraid to say what we're all thinking. That illegal immigration is driving up housing demand. That reckless spending is fueling inflation. And that federal overreach is making it impossible for Americans to afford homes. And for what? So the left can feel morally superior while Americans sleep in their cars? Let me tell you something, patriots. The American people are done being silent. We're done being ignored. And we're done paying the price for policies that serve everyone but us. If we want to fix this, we need to start with 3 things. 1. Close the border. 2. Cut the red tape strangling our economy. 3. Put Americans first, every time. This is why Right View Nation exists. To give a voice to the forgotten, the fed up, and the freedom-loving. We are not backing down. We will keep exposing the truth, fighting for common sense, and defending the American dream. If you agree with what we're saying, if you're tired of the lies and the lunacy, then do something about it. Right arrow, hit that subscribe button. Right arrow, smash that like button. Right arrow, and most importantly, share this video with every American who still believes in borders, freedom, and the Constitution. We're in a battle for the soul of this country, folks. But with voices like Senator Kennedy's and yours, we can still win. God bless you. God bless our Constitution. And God bless the United States of America.